In the previous lectures, we have seen the denial of service attacks, methods, and various other techniques. In this lecture, we will see some more concepts of the denial of service, how this denial of service will be conducted with the help of the distributed denial of service method, in which the attacker will try to use the specialized network called botnet, and how this DoS or denial of service will be conducted. Next, we will see some practical aspects of the denial of service. Then we'll move on to the countermeasures of the DoS. We have seen in the last lectures, that is, the denial of service attack can be performed using the service request floods, synchronous flooding attacks, ICMP flooding attack, and peer-to-peer attacks. Then this particular DoS can also be performed using land attacks, in which self-reply will be sent by the target, so that the target is assuming that it is always giving the reply, but it will always the reply will always divert to itself, thereby more memory to be allocated. Where in case of permanent DoS, especially the flashing or bricking the system will be done, it is mainly targeted to damage the hardware, so that the target system will be unrecoverable and will completely fail. Application level flooding attacks mainly focus on the identification of the vulnerabilities in the software program that is written for the application, and also launch the flooding attacks, such as flooding attacks to especially to disrupt the services or to jam the services of the application. Next one is the distributed reflection DoS. This is also a kind of denial of service, in which the intermediate network devices that are from the source to destination will be used to perform vigorous denial of service attack. And among these denial of service attacks, one of the powerful attack that is possible with the help of the identification of the vulnerabilities in the software is buffer overflow attack. Buffer overflow is nothing but, here the memory will be overfilled and the attack will be performed. Buffer overflow attack usually will cause when there is no boundary checking for the functions that are used in the application. For example, the functions such as getS, scanf, strcpy, strcat, these are the functions where the boundary checking is not available. So whenever this boundary checking is not there, it will occupy how much memory as it requires. Usually a memory consisting of two sections. One is stack section, another is heap section. The stack section is will be decided at the time of compiling the program, where in case of heap section will be dynamic. That means it will grow and shrink dynamically depending upon the usage by the application or requirement by the application. Basically, in the buffer overflow attack, the malicious program or malicious code that was injected into the application where there is no boundary checking is available, whenever it is loaded into the memory, it will try to gain more memory in the main memory. Whenever it gains the more memory, usually the mission instructions will be placed, mission instructions will be copied by that particular malicious code into the main memory, or the return address that is supposed to be returned or to the control where the control has to be shifted address will be modified. That means it will do either two tasks. That is, one is modification of the return address, or especially the malicious code that is injected into the main memory, that or malicious code that was written in the code that will be injected into the main memory. In the form of the mission instruction, such as no operation. The no operation, in the sense, the CPU simply passes the time without performing anything. That means there is no active work will be done by the CPU, but simply it will pass the CPU cycles. This is called no operation. In order to perform this no operation, the hexadecimal code that will be used is 0x90. This 0x90 is the code that will be repeatedly placed by the malicious code that was loaded into the main memory. So whenever it is keep on filling the main memory with the 0x90 hexadecimal number, that means that whenever the CPU reads that code, CPU will assume that okay, I need to go for spending of the CPU cycles without doing any work. So whenever this thing will continue, then CPU will not attend any other request received by the computer. So in this way, simply CPU spends the time without performing any task. So thereby, the genuine users who sends the request to the computer will not get any reply. Thereby, it results into the denial of service attack. So for you, a self-study I am providing here. This self-study is search for the topic smashing the stack for fun and profit via Google search, in which you will find some small C programming code where the code will be injected into the main memory whenever it is double clicked, and the stack will memory will be smashed, and this kind of 0x90, that is called no operation code, will be injected, and how the CPU will simply passes the time without doing anything, that you can realize in this particular case study. It is for the reference purpose and reading purpose. So you may go to the Google search and type the smashing the stack for fun and profit. And please be cautious that you don't do it on the regular computers that what you are using. You do it on some uh, already used computer or some old computers which are not required and kept for experimentation purpose. So this is regarding the buffer overflow attack. Now we will move on to the today's lecture. That is distributed denial of service attacks. Usually distributed denial of service attacks are the aim of DDoS or the aim of DOS is one and the same. That is to disturb the availability of the servers or disturb the availability of the services. That the service may be offered by the servers or maybe any other devices. Here, in the distributed denial of service, a clever trick will be played by the hacker, in which it will take the help of some bots. Here, bot in the sense a system which is already compromised. These, if you look at the diagram, in which the attacker will send a command and control to a particular device, in which in this device it consisting of the list of jombines or list of compromised nodes which are under the control of the attacker. So that whenever the attacker gives a command to this command control device, the command control device pick up the compromised nodes which are under the control of the attacker, either maybe randomly or maybe selectively. Then it will pass a control or command to this particular zombines to launch denial of service attack to the victim machine. So that denial of service attack may be done via continuous synchronous flooding or whatever the DOS attacks that what we have discussed previously. Any one of these attacks can be initiated by these zombines. These botnets are controlled by the command and control owned by the attacker. This is CNC, which means command and control, sends instruction to the instruction to perform attack or task to the target system. Now, in this particular case, attacker compromises the victims to make a bot which compromises other systems to create botnets. So whenever when any attacker compromises any system, then he may use this system as a part of this list of job binds. Okay, and this list of job binds may be used for launching the denial of service on the target. That means if multiple compromised nodes started performing the denial of service on a single target, then it is said to be distributed denial of service. Where in case of denial of service, the attack will be from 1 to 1 or in the form of 1 to 1, one attacker to one target. Where in case of distributed denial of service, one attacker will be there. He will send a control to the command control device. That command control device will select the list of compromised nodes who are under the control of the attacker, and it will instruct the Jombines to launch the DoS on the target. So this is the style of conducting the distributed denial of service using botnets. So there is a lot of research happened on the botnets, how to detect these botnets, and how to start working, how to launch the botnets, how to create the botnets, and what are the other safety measures that we need to take to defend from these botnets. So botnet is not a new area; it is already well-established area. You can find a lot of literature over the internet. So how this particular scanning will be done by these Jombans? Actually, this scanning vulnerabilities by botnet, this will be done in the following fashion. Random scanning technique. Bots randomly scan the machines in the IP range and will identify the vulnerabilities. And these vulnerabilities will be reported to the attacker. And based upon these vulnerabilities, attacker will try to compromise a victim machine and will add it as one of the Jombine in his list. Hit list scanning technique. Attacker may feed a list of vulnerable IP addresses, and from that, this bots will pick up some random IP addresses and will start performing the DOS attack. Next, topological scanning technique. Knowing other vulnerable systems from compromised systems, it will be done using malicious URLs. It is just like an attacker will compromise one device or one computer. With that computer, he may come to know who are the other connecting computers, and he may go for compromising of the linked computers with that compromised computer. Usually, this will be done using the malicious URLs. Sometimes the malicious URLs, it is like this. They may redirect you to some other places. Or, for example, if you are trying to download any software or file which are not authorized to download, and you might have your, especially people are trying for searching of the cracks or full versions or with some keys, etc. Whenever they try to search, you will find some malicious URLs. You are making that particular websites, whatever the website you are going to see, those websites are tempting you to click the buttons somewhere here and there, or maybe misleading you to click some links. So whenever you click that, automatically these are the malicious URLs will divert to some other places, some other websites, from which automatically it will ask you to enable the messages and enable the downloads, etc. So whenever you click that, automatically these viruses will be downloaded onto your computer. If you run those files or if you open those files, automatically there will be a reverse TCP will be or reverse shell will be created between your computer and the attacker's computer. Then attacker will come to know the that so and so victim mission is ready for taking the control. Then the attacker will use the exploits that are possible and will try to exploit your computer and will take the control of your computer. This is the way how the topological scanning will be done. Subnet scanning technique. It will be done by the compromiser system within LAN, whereas previous systems are related to the random scanning technique, hit list scanning, and all outside of the firewall. But if you want to compromise any computer within the LAN, then subnet scanning technique will be used. It will be done by compromising the system within LAN, so that is behind the firewall. Permutation scanning technique. This scanning takes place via sharing a pseudo-random permutation of IP addresses. So this pseudo-random number will be generated. Based upon the generated pseudo-random number, an IP address will be chosen. Based upon this IP address, this permutation scanning technique will be performed. These are the ways in which this scanning of the vulnerabilities by the botnet will be performed in order to launch the distributed denial of service attack. Briefly, I told you previously the how the malicious code will be propagated, especially if you use this topological scanning. That is, whenever these malicious URLs are clicked, automatically this malicious code will be downloaded. If you disable the add-ons, or if you disable the messages, then it will the browser will ask you to enable the messages. Whenever you unblock the messages or click OK or something, then automatically this code will be downloaded onto your computer. So in how many ways this malicious code will be propagated? Basically, this will be done in three ways. Central source propagation. The central source propagation means there will be a list of, there will be a database of repository of the malicious codes. So the attacker, whenever exploits the victim machine automatically connect to the central server and the code will be downloaded. In this case, victim don't know who is the attacker. He will know only the central services. Then this particular copy code is whenever he explored or double clicked that copy code, automatically then a reverse shell will be created as the attacker and will take control of the victim machine. So victim is having the record of only the central source, but not the attacker here. And the same thing will be happened whenever any other next victim connected to the already compromised computer. This is what we call central source propagation. Next one is backchaining propagation. Backchaining propagation in which the attacker first will try to exploit the victim. Whenever the victim is connected to that means it is a straightforward approach. Whenever the victim is connected, then the victim machine will be connected using reverse shell. Whenever it is connected to the attacker, then the code may be copied onto the victim machine. So if this code has to be detected, then you must enable the firewall and security alerts. Otherwise, this whenever this code is downloaded onto your computer, then if security devices or security systems like anti-malware or something was disabled, or Microsoft Defender or this kind of things were disabled, then this code cannot be detected. Malicious code cannot be detected. So that is the reason the general suggestion is to enable all the security systems and don't use the what you call uh, the unauthorized operating systems. That means don't use the cracked version of the operating system. Use always the licensed version of the operating systems, especially like Windows 10 or something. Many other operating systems are there which are based on Linux, are open source. They may use it for free, but any proprietary operating system like Windows or Apple OS. So this kind of operating systems you must purchase it with a proper licensing key. Then only the updates will be downloaded without having any trouble. As far as my knowledge is concerned, up to now, the Windows 10 Microsoft Defender is a very powerful defender. Really, they are doing very good work compared to the previous versions of the Windows, where in the previous versions you will find so many security flaws and many malicious codes can be easily injected into that and can be exploited. But Windows 10 is not like that. Windows 10 original, that is licensed operating system, that whenever you purchase it, or if it come along with your laptop at the time of purchase, you don't hesitate to update it. The updates may take some time or may be heavy, but you try to update it whenever you find time. Otherwise, because Windows 10 is a very powerful, has very powerful security mechanism and defending mechanism for whatever the attacks that was happened till date, including ransomware attack. So that is the reason it is the general recommendation to update the Microsoft Security Defender or security defenders that are available on the uh, security providers that are available on the operating system. Next one is autonomous propagation. Here in the previous two categories, central source propagation and backchaining propagation, the things are from coming from the central source or attacker. But here autonomous propagation is directly attacker will go and catch hold of the victim's machine and will try to copy the code and exploit there. Here there is no communication between the victim and attacker will happen. Attacker will take control of the victim and will perform this attack. These are the list of botnet trojans that are famous, such as Black Shade Net, Plugbot, okay, and Andromeda bot, Setoshia bot. So these are the various famous botnet trojans that are available for working with the botnets. So these trojans can be easily identified by Windows 10 Security Defender. The reason is, I told you now, they have made a very extraordinary work so far for providing the security. So that reason, even Microsoft is also asking everyone who are the users of the Windows 7 to move to the Windows 10 operating system for better security.